That's wicked. Okay. Yeah. Awesome.
We will not be ruled!
Oh.
We will not be ruled!
On this edition of The Fifth Estate.
Well, now there's no closed captions. That's fake. Anyways.
It started with a plot to disrupt a gun rally, but that was only the beginning.
They conspired to terrorize, kill, and destroy.
It ended with 2 white supremacists in jail.
Derail some trains, kill some people, and poison some water supplies.
These defendants were hoping for a civil war.
Jesus.
In their own words, they craved blood on their hands.
January 6th, the anniversary of that just happened.
1 year after America looked militant extremism in the eye and almost flinched.
You know what? I remember where I was on January 6th. Is it gonna turn into one of those things? Where were you on January 6th? I was in the middle of online class. I was in my was it my English class? I don't know. I don't remember. I don't really care about online class. But I was in the middle of online class, and then I saw it on my phone. And then I was like, oh my god. So I went downstairs and I turned the TV on. Every news organization was covering it. I was like, oh my god. So I was immediately like talking to my grandma. I was talking to my mom. I was talking to my friends online from America. And I was just talking. It was crazy. I couldn't, like, I don't like online class in the first place, whatever. But I was just immediately, fuck school. The United States is on like the brink of a civil war, which, that was just me being hopeful for something interesting to happen. But nothing ultimately came of it. It was just a giant, riot kind of thing. People say it's an insurrection. I don't think it's quite an insurrection. I think that's kind of a loaded term.
Story of another
But yeah, so
plot with a Canadian connection.
yeah, so this is interesting to me because Canadian.
They were dangerous. They studied violence.
Hey! Okay. Dude, can I even I can show that, right? Whatever.
Weapons.
I denounce Nazis.
Stock
There's my message on that. Nazis are not good. They're bad. That's my denunciation.
Munitions and supplies, and planned to kill in pursuit of their extremist goals.
Hey!
The
I already said it's a bad thing.
ideology that drove it.
You realize that they're just going to call us terrorists.
And the Manitoba Military Reservists.
Of course
now
they're in
facing-
Manitoba. Of course they're Manitoban. If it wasn't Manitoba, it'd be Alberta, and if it wasn't Alberta, it'd be Saskatchewan. All of those, dude. You know how many like militias exist within Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba, connected? I'm just gonna say rural BC too. And a little tiny bit of Ontario, dude. That's where the militias live in Canada. That's where they all come from, is the prairies. You know why? Because guns. And you know who likes the guns? The conservatives. Where the conservatives live? The prairies. But yeah, so chances are, if you hear about a militia coming from Canada, you can bet $1,000 comfortably they're either from, well, I'm just gonna say they're from the prairies.
9 years in a U.S. prison.
They're going to go to jail anyway. Might as well do some damage to the system.
No, that's a bad idea. I don't understand why people think that. If we're gonna go to jail anyways, why don't we do damage to the system on our way there? Well, because then you'll get a worse sentence, you dummy. Like, I mean, if you're going to, okay, that's like with some things, yeah, sure. If you kill someone and you're gonna go to jail for murder for like 50 years, you're like, oh, whatever, might as well kill 20 people. I mean, yeah, sure, at that point, I mean, like kind of, but then you just have yourself to talk to about that. But if you go into jail for like whatever, like a suspended registration or like a license or whatever that you just didn't renew, and it's like you're gonna go to jail for like 3 months. Oh, might as well blow up an orphanage. Oh, if I'm going to jail anyways. I've never.
I'm Julie.
Like in some aspects, if I'm going to jail anyways, whatever, is understandable. On another hand, depending, it's just dumb.
Findlay. You might remember Master Corporal Patrick Matthews, the Winnipeg reservist.
Oh, was that the guy that ran his truck into 24 Sussex Drive? Was that guy?
Outed as a violent neo-Nazi who escaped to the States only to be arrested by the FBI.
Nope, not wrong guy. There was a reservist who took his truck and drove it into the gate of the Prime Minister's house, and he had guns, and he was like, "Where's the Prime Minister? I want to find the Prime Minister." And then he went to jail.
What you may not know much about is the group that recruited him, stoked his extremism, and according to the FBI, encouraged his violence. It's called The Base. And tonight we're going to take you inside with
The Based? No.
exclusive interviews and undercover recordings. A warning, it is a disturbing journey that begins in a Winnipeg park.
Interesting.
With a young
Winnipeg,
reporter
dude.
and a
Manitoba's
career-making
nuts.
scoop.
Manitoba's so crazy. Dude, is this okay? I hope I'm not gonna get copyright strike. It's CBC. It's a federal thing, right? I'm not gonna. It's news.
Memo.
Wait, okay. Would it be different if I could find it on YouTube? Hold up a second.
The following program may
Okay, yeah, we found it on YouTube.
contain coarse language, violence, and mature subject matter. Viewer discretion is advised.
Where were we at? Where we're at, like here.
Scoop.
I'm a React Andy.
Voice memo. I am leaving the meeting with the base. The local base member. I'm gonna try and get up everything I can remember. Off my head.
It's August 2019, and reporter Ryan Thorpe has just had one of the most disturbing interviews of his career.
His name is Patrick. He's about 5'10". He's a member of the Canadian Armed Forces. He is some kind of an engineer.
Okay.
He talked
Ah,
about fomenting a race war.
a race war.
Talked about derailing a train.
Race war, derailing a train,
Nazi.
Nazi. Okay, all of these are bad things. Violent extremist, another bad thing.
We spoke for like an hour and a half. There's so much.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice hat. Dude, I saw one of those hats when I visited BC, somewhere in BC, and I wanted to get one, but it was like $70. I might get one still. I liked it.
With the news tip, actually. So, like many stories do when you're working at a newspaper.
Ryan Thorpe writes for the Winnipeg Free Press. The tip was from a reader concerned about a strange new
What? Dude, most militias or whatever I've heard of, is Manitoba that bad that instead of being like super duper underground, like you can only contact them when they're like super duper underground kind of they contact you kind of militias, they're like they just have like printer sheet paper posters outside. Join the base today. Join our militia. Really? Is Manitoba that bad?
poster popping up downtown.
It had those slogans: "Save your race, join the base." But it did
Catchy.
seem to me, looking at it, that this looked like kind of like a white nationalist group of some sort.
What?
It had those slogans: "Save your race, join the base." But it did seem to me, looking at it, that this looked like kind of like a white nationalist group of
Oh, no shit, really? Join the base, save your race. It might have been white nationalist, not quite sure though. I don't know, it's just I could just tell.
some sort. And that apparently, according to these posters, was recruiting in Winnipeg. So yeah, that's all I really knew to start with.
An internet search revealed the base was indeed a white nationalist group, also a paramilitary group. That got Thorpe's attention and his editors.
And I essentially pitched him on two potential approaches for the story. I said I could contact an academic who studies, far-right groups in Canada. I could contact the Winnipeg
You can
Police
study
Service
that?
and ask if
Damn, there's so many obscure different things you could study.
they're aware of these posters.
Like, imagine that. My entire academic study, I study far-right military groups within Canada. Like, that sounds cool to me, but the average person, dude, they'd be like, fucking, like, English majors would be like,
And then I said the
That's
other thing
saying
I could
something.
do is they have like this email address on the bottom of the poster, and I could just pretend to be someone interested in learning more about their organization and see what happens.
What happened was almost immediate. Within 24 hours, Thorpe was communicating with a man he would later learn founded the base. and answering all kinds of questions.
I was asked
Wait, was he writing? No, he's writing in his notes. Why?
Within 24
He's
hours,
acting
Thorpe
like
was
he's doing a
communicating
text. What?
with a man he would
What?
later know founded the base.
What is
And
that?
answering all kinds of questions.
I was asked questions about my physical fitness level, my race, my sex,
Turn it up a little bit.
you know, whether or not I had military training, if I had any experience with firearms, if I had a background in chemistry or engineering. I tried.
Oh, that's kind of telling. Yeah, we need to cook, Jesse. Do you have a chemistry background? Then imagine that. Do you have a chemistry background? We could really use bombs.
To keep as many of the details true to life, and I said that, you know, I'd been born and raised in the prairies, and like my family, I had lots of hunters in it, and I'd been taught to shoot guns from a young age, which was true, and I thought maybe that would make me seem like a more attractive recruit, but I didn't want to inflate my credentials.
He must have been convincing because the
Dude,
next thing
stop it! It's so it's so bad. Oh my god, dude. Unless people exist, yeah, I write out my text in my notes, I copy paste it, then I send it on my text message. Who does that? I mean, obvious, like they might do it to like not incriminate someone, but even then, just do set up a fake text, like have like your producer like text you in place of the guy. Dude, it just looks so bad when he's like, I'm writing in my notes pretending to text. It's so bad.
knew he was being told to download an encrypted messaging app and prepare to be vetted. The vetter was the founder, a man who introduced himself as Roman Wolf. He warned Thorpe they weren't looking for keyboard warriors. Becoming a base member meant committing to action.
And most of our members are pretty hardcore, you know, in that sense. I mean, you're going to be stepping into, you know, probably the most like extreme group of, you know, pro-white people that you could probably come across. You know,
The most extreme group of pro-white people that you can probably come across or close to it. Wow, Manitoba, tisk tisk.
your ideology, your worldview.
Then again, like I said, Alberta and Saskatchewan do the exact same thing, so I honestly should just I should be talking.
I had been presenting myself as a white nationalist, thinking like, oh, that's like one of the most extreme things people can be, right? And that almost didn't seem like hardcore enough for them. Because I remember Roman Wolf saying,
Wait, what? Being a white nationalist isn't extreme enough?
thinking like, oh, that's like one of the most extreme things people can.
Oh, dude, nowadays, no, that's not even close. Oh, I'm a white nationalist? Nah, dude, you need to like punch African babies to like you need to like throw them. Like people are crazy. Like I remember in class we were talking about, like, white nationalism, or like back then kind of like white people whatever like groups. And dude, like pretty much all you needed to do back then was just be white. But now it's like you need to like prove it because like it's like bad. It's so bad.
Can be, right? And that almost didn't seem like hardcore enough for them. Because I remember Roman Wolf saying like, oh, so you're a white nationalist. Well, most of us are National Socialists and or fascists.
National Socialist and or fascist. So I've asked myself this before, and I've had a dialogue with myself before, and everyone always equates National Socialism to, like, the Nazis and being fascist. And I don't understand necessarily if that's true, but if that is true, literally, isn't that just saying, like, well, most of us are National Socialists or fascists? That's like saying, oh, most of us are white or white. It's just like saying most of us are one and one as well. It's like disconnecting the two. Like unless like if you can't disconnect them, then basically what that's saying is like that goes to show how much that guy knows about the groups that he claims he's part of. Yeah, I'm a National Socialist, and a part of us are National Socialists and fascists. So if those two things can't be disconnected, then that just goes to show how much he knows about what he's talking
Committed to building a new world order.
Of course, you can be fascist without being National Socialist, but in a white supremacist kind of way, isn't that the kind of fascism you'd want?
Working to destroy the existing one.
And then towards the end of the conversation, someone else jumped on the line.
Sorry for being late. I wish I had a better excuse. So far, it sounds like you're
Good one. It's so cryptic. I don't think it was him, guys.
And it's
I
like,
don't. I
okay,
just
well,
don't
this
think.
is
I have a
this is the
hunch
guy.
it
This is
just
the guy
wasn't
I'm
him.
trying to figure out who he is. So that was exciting. But
Exciting, but even more disturbing.
this voice, this guy, the local guy, says, you know, what good are ideals if they're only exercised on paper? And
In discussion. That's the whole point of them. Sure, okay, you can people always, not always, but people do, like, especially people like this. It's like, what good are like having ideas and stuff if like you can't go out and like action them, or like turn them into actions. That's specifically why I like doing what I do with this. Dude, you discuss them, you talk to people, you engage with other people, you learn other people's positions, and you mold your own views around that. You mold your own views around like things you learn, things like you experiment with. But yeah, I guess you can, like, as long as it's not like in a terrible sort of sense, you can exercise your own, like, like exercises, and like, go out, talk to people, have conversations, like actually make a view on something, rather than just like, I learned about National Socialism on the internet and now I'm gonna go blow up a, I don't know, a equal rights place or whatever. It's just so, and I just don't get people like that. Like, like people who sit in a basement all day, read all about Nazis, and then they're like, well, I'm a Nazi now and I have to go do Nazi shit. And like, what's good is discussion. It's not, dude, I love discussion. I think discussion is like the centerpiece of
again,
democracy
it's
and
just kind
just
of like a chilling
society.
comment to me because it's just like these are people that aren't just posting online, you know, and they're being
It seems exactly what they are. I mean, they're not just posting out. They go around. They post posters. I mean, obviously, like, they go outside and they shoot guns in the woods. Scary. That's crazy. But I mean, you know, other than that,
very
okay, I get this is a documentary about somebody doing something bad, but like, I don't know, just
open about if I was going to join this group, they wanted me to engage in paramilitary training with them.
But before that could happen, there was one more level of screening, which is how Ryan Thorpe found himself in a Winnipeg park that August night.
okay. Sorry, I'm okay. But when he says these guys don't just look like people on the internet, they do actual, whatever. They're active, dude. Going outside into the woods with a bunch of guns doing jumping jacks is not active, okay? Um, I remember watching this. I think it was a documentary about the three percenters in the States, and it was half of the people were literally these obese people with rifles outside in the middle of the woods with RVs or whatever doing push-ups. And it's like, yeah, if the government collapses, then we'll step right in. It's like, really? That's kind of crazy that you think that can happen, because I get it, it's a scary idea, but I feel like people tend to jump the gun, and it's like they see something like this, guys out in the woods with push-ups, they're a threat to democracy. No, they're just LARPing. I mean, I mean, it reaches a line, like when when you're making plans to blow up a train, that kind of crosses the line. But as long as they're generally not hurt. They're not hurting anybody. I mean, sure, they can spread like terrible worldviews. They can spread, they can advocate for terrible things. Then again, like, personally, I feel like people have a right to do that. Like like you have a personal right to believe how you want to believe. All right, as long as you're not actively like assaulting people, like you're not taking a hatchet and like hurting people, like like out in public, right? Because of your worldview. But if you want to sit like behind a desk all day and write to your heart's content on whatever messaging forum you want about your own worldview, dude, knock yourself out. But when you're actually like in public and you're like, I'm gonna blow up a train because of the way I believe, then it's like, okay, stop.
Meeting a man he would soon reveal to the world as Patrick Matthews, 9-year military reservist, combat engineer, committed neo-Nazi.
You know, some of the stuff that he said that night just
Wait, committed neo-Nazi. Ooh.
shocked me. You know, he said horrific, horrifically racist, misogynistic, anti-Semitic stuff. So, I mean, I suppose it's kind of what I would have expected given everything I'd been learning about this group and their worldview, but again, it was still, you know, pretty disturbing to be face to face with someone who thinks they've met a comrade in arms and they're just spewing this hatred.
As Thorpe would soon learn, hatred was the worldview, along with destruction and violence.
At one point, we were walking, and there was this rail line, and he was pointed it out, and he was like, well, that offers an opportunity, you know.
These are the train tracks here that Matthews kind of openly discussed the possibility of sabotaging.
All you would have to do is kind of yank up one side of
Yeah,
the rail line.
I was gonna say, because you know I was talking about like blowing up a train. You don't necessarily have to blow up the train. You just have to like you said, raise up one side or like cut the rail thing with like I don't know like whatever kind of fucking thing you use to cut metal, like you like and whatever kind of means, and just like move it just like a little bit off whatever. Like, you just move it a little bit like that, dude. The train's gonna like it's done. Like trains are extremely like if you mess up the rail even a little bit, dude, trains are screwed. So yeah, you don't even need to blow anything up. You just have to like tilt it or like bend it.
Matthews kind of openly discussed the possibility of sabotaging.
All you would have to do is kind of yank up one side of the rail line, and he had said something like you wouldn't even need to make that go boom, which I took to mean like you wouldn't even need to plant a bomb.
Yeah.
All you would have to do is sabotage the rail track, and you could do a lot of kind of destruction.
Yeah, exactly.
To prove they'd actually met, Matthews needed a picture with Thorpe. He told him the base was built on cells. He'd been to the States to train with other cells. Now he wanted to
Dude,
establish...
what's up with the skeleton masks, dude? It's always people yet with the skeleton masks. They think it makes them look tough. It makes them look like the fucking that kid in third grade that had that I don't know like bought something like that or bought like the skeleton like zip up hoodie. And they're like, oh, I'm so cool. Bones are epic. I look like so badass. I'm a like man biker guy or whatever. You know, dude. It doesn't. I mean, it doesn't make you look scary. It makes you look funny. It makes you look kind of clowny.
one in Winnipeg to share his skills.
Dude, that's just funny. Dude, if I saw a paramilitary white supremacist group with this as like a poster, dude, I wouldn't take him serious at all. Then again, I don't take any of them seriously. But like, dude, that just looks hilarious. That look.
And prepare for what he predicted was imminent social collapse.
He asked if I had a gun license, and I said no. He said, well, you should get one. And in the meantime, he offered to supply me with guns, and and he was essentially talking about trying to disseminate his knowledge and skill set that he had gained in the military onto me.
He was going to supply you with guns, he said.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
He talked about doing firearm training. He suggested I get a gun license. He's not dumb. He's fucking dumb.
As Thorpe ran from the park that night.
He's not dumb, but he's
he had
fucking
his
dumb. Yeah, that honestly, that statement. And I'm not even kidding. That statement makes sense. He's saying he's not dumb. Like he knows his shit. He knows his way around. Training. He knows his way around guns. He knows how to like do shit that'll fuck shit up. But he's dumb because he's a fucking. He holds these dog shit worldviews.
story.
Like get a gun license. But we're gonna be part of a white supremacist military organization that's gonna sabotage trains. But get a gun license. Give your information to the government. Make sure the government knows you have guns. But yeah, we're gonna blow up a train. That's also kind of dumb. That's like yeah.
And an obligation to tell it.
This was an individual who had been trained by the Canadian government in military tactics.
Then again, that's not much training whatsoever. Our military sucks.
In firearms, in explosives, who was I had confirmed was a member in this like ultra-violent hate group, and then when I met him in person was talking about the possibility of perpetrating violence. Like, no, I mean, I think you have to print that story.
Or just go to like CSIS. Because you know what? Even if it's like dumbass worldviews or like dumbass views on stuff that like you don't think anybody would ever like think of in their right mind, dude, doing stuff like this, like some people, very rare people, like will look at this and they're like, oh my goodness, he sabotaged such a good organization and idea. I'm gonna go try to join that now because I know groups like that exist and I know how to get to it. And it's like, Like, dude, just go to CSIS and like get it taken down and dismantled, man. Like you don't. Not everything has to be a printed story.
16 hours after the
Of course, now we're watching it, but I mean,
Free Press published, the RCMP was at Matthew's door.
Yeah, see, there you go. The RCMP joined.
Police
You can hear the accent too. Who's in the command of the officer?
Police would later say they seized multiple weapons that night, but for all the concern Matthew's story raised, he didn't stay in custody long. The next day, he was back at home in.
Oh, that's the guy. Oh, I thought they searched the journalist's house because the journalist went part with it, but that's the guy. I guess it wasn't a very good, white supremacist, terrorist if, they didn't let him out. Then again.
In the tiny town of Beausejour.
Beausejour? What kind of French ass town is that?
Matthews?
Somebody.
And 9 days later, he was gone.
Red truck.
A red truck found abandoned near the U.S. border.
Oh.
When we come back.
So he's not only is an illegal, well, not immigrant, but he jumped the border illegally, so illegal entry into a country. But he's also what's it called? When you're like in the military, he's a deserter. Well, no, not in the traditional. He doesn't desert combat, but he like left he left the country. He deserted the military.
And you like put a bunch of explosives, thermite, whatever the you can.
They wanted to bring down the United States government. They wanted to see a civil war in the United States, and they wanted to kill federal officials. That was their intention.
So now he went and joined one of the U.S. group things?
In the dark and disturbing world of militant hate, secrecy is paramount. The base thought its vetting process.
It's so funny watching them do stuff like that.
In the dark and disturbing world of militant hate, secrecy.
Like in a way, they're doing it so confidently, but you like know deep down like they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Even if some of them are military trained, it's like what
is paramount. The base thought its vetting process was rigorous, its communications on encrypted apps and chat rooms impermeable.
Yo, I saw somebody's face.
Membership is limited to nationalists of European descent.
But 2 years ago,
Nationalists
a man claiming to be one of the
descent.
group's first members walked away from the base, taking with him thousands of screen grabs, videos, and audio recordings. Do you feel you're in danger?
Not right now because I'm anonymous.
Oh, but they missed the memo with the voice mumbler.
But if you weren't?
If I weren't, there'd be people who would probably want to shoot at me because I'm the enemy.
Tradian is the man who made the recordings. In real life, he's an anti-fascist activist. He shared his material selectively with other journalists and researchers, but he's never spoken publicly until now.
So what is the base? It is a Nazi group, and there's no question about that to me. Every single person who joined...
Well, yeah, there's no question of me about that either. He literally said they were a Nazi group.
was a Nazi of some form or another.
Probably because it was a Nazi group.
Nazis in love with the symbols and ideas of a white ethno-state. Base members...
Not regular Nazis, and then lists off what regular Nazis like. Do you like
believe they can build that state by expediting the collapse of the existing one.
I feel that the only way how things are gonna get better is if a collapse happens and a new dawn.
They're not regular Nazis, they're worse Nazis.
It's called accelerationism.
Oh, no, dude, he's doing push-ups on camera with a black and white filter on it. Dude, that's scary. That's so scary. He's a tough guy. He's a tough Nazi.
The recordings are filled with discussion of how to make it happen. That and fears that white people like them are in danger of being replaced.
Africans and Arabs mate with our women and drive us into extinction.
Well, race mixing is...
Okay, I just want to say I don't condone any of these beliefs, these values, these messages, whatever. I feel like I'm going to get kicked off platforms. I don't. This is just stuff I'm talking about it. We're having a genuine discussion about it. I just want to let that be known because I feel like it's
And
getting
it
to a
gets
point
even
where I'm gonna get
worse.
flagged for like hate
Some of
shit.
them advocated something called universal order, in which you kill literally everybody that's not white.
Kill everybody
Okay, that'd be fucking hard to do.
who's not white?
Everyone. That's universal order.
Well, this is a group that believed that the country was heading toward an inevitable civil collapse, that there would be some kind of mass disorder, and they wanted to be prepared not only to commit acts of violence to hasten the collapse of civil society, but also after that collapse happens, to be in a position to then militarily take control.
Dude, how many like militias do you think exist within like the states, right? So imagine the states does collapse in some odd fucking well, I shouldn't say some odd fucking world. I mean, January 6th happened, but that wasn't even fucking close to the collapse of the United States. But like, let's just say it does collapse. Boom, one day it does collapse. How many militias do you think exist that are gonna be like competing with one another to having power? It's gonna be like a whole. It's gonna be a whole, you know, dude. It's gonna like. He's gonna be like. It's gonna be crazy. Because not all of them are like ideologically aligned, right? So you're gonna have tons and tons of different groups, and all of them are like, we're waiting for the collapse so we can take power. Well, you're gonna have to compete with these 78 other fucking groups, though. I hope you have a lot of guys.
And in some ways, this is a bit delusional. It's a very small group of people, but they believed that eventually more people would be brought into their circle and would join their side in the fight.
Researcher Cassie Miller was one of the first to listen to the base tapes and to analyze those being vetted for membership.
The reason why I wanted to join the base is I want to fight for my future and for the future of my future children.
Oh, is that like the 14 words thing?
There was nothing about them
I want to fight for my future and the future of my kids.
that made them predestined to become a member of a neo-Nazi group. These were young men who had come to believe that the problems they faced could be blamed on people of color, on Jews, on women, and that the only way to deal with it was through violence.
I'm from Alabama. Grew up in Belfast. I came from the UK.
Okay. Okay. Belfast and Ukraine. I can have some sympathies for those two places. Alabama, no. Ukraine, dude, the way Ukraine is and has existed, dude, fucking, I'm surprised the motherfucker wasn't like already, if he wasn't already in the fucking military in Ukraine. Like, dude, Ukraine's the crazy. They have like obligatory fucking military service, from what I last recall. They're always fighting the Russians on some kind of bullshit. Belfast, I don't fucking. I remember the Irish Civil War, not Civil War or whatever it's called, but like English versus Irish kind of shit. Fucking that happened. Fucking I don't know. Fucking how long ago? But that kind of culture is still there. That kind of like rebellious kind of fucking underground militia like kind of thing is still there. If you live in Alabama, dude, that's just kind of a LARP. I'm sorry. That's like the South will rise again kind of mentality is just kind of a LARP. It's been what 200 years since the Civil War. It's a little bit of a like the Ukraine Russia thing is still happening. The Irish UK thing happened. I'm not gonna say okay. Was it a civil war? Yeah, that wasn't super duper long ago. That was like it's 100 years at this point. Okay, never mind. Wait, the independence and then okay, whatever. I might that kind of culture is still a little bit there in the sense of like yeah, like I said, underground kind of thing. A little bit, just a little tiny bit. But like I said, Alabama, nope.
Arizona.
First Night Nationalists from Perth, Western Australia.
The recruits were from
Grew up in Belfast.
Alabama, Belfast, Ukraine, Arizona.
Nationalists from Perth, Western
Australia. So Arizona and Alabama, no. Australia, no.
Australia.
Belfast can give that tiny little bit, and then Ukraine, 100%. I understand being part of the fucking whatever. Like I'm not condoning this kind of shit. What I'm saying is like whatever. New England.
Recruits were from all over the world.
What happens if someone catches you
Color,
doing shit like that?
on Jews, on women, and that the only way to deal with it was through violence.
I'm from Alabama. Grew up in Belfast.
I was talking about like the militia
came
thing.
from
It's like understandable.
The
Kind of.
Queen.
Arizona. First-time nationalists from Perth, Western Australia.
What happens if someone catches you taking a picture like that? What happens? Dude, you're just standing there with the flag and someone's like, dude, look at this guy. You're done. You're toast, right? There's no way you're not reported to like a kind of a fucking extremist crime unit, right?
The recruits were from all over the world, more than 100 of them.
All over the world kind of sounds like the States and like Europe.
Male, white.
I did see South Africa though.
And the majority young.
Well, I'm 17 right now. I'm currently in high school.
Almost invariably, they've been radicalized.
Wait, I'm almost
more than 100 of them. Male, white, and the majority young.
Well, I'm 17 right now. I'm currently in high school.
Oh, I thought you said I'm almost in high school. I'm like, there's no shot. There's a 13-year-old wanting to join a fucking extremist group. Girl, I'm 17. I couldn't imagine doing that kind of shit. Dude, I'm a fucking video game keyboard Andy. I'm literally, I'm streaming on Twitch right now.
Almost invariably, they've been radicalized on other extreme.
I like talking. I don't like shooting things. I mean, dude, guns are fucking cool. But I mean, like, shooting other people, that's kind of crazy.
Sites. Their journey down the rabbit hole of hate, eventually leading them to this man.
Why did I create the base?
April Fools!
To some, he was known as Roman Wolf. To others, Norman Spear. In real life, he is Ronaldo Nazzaro, an American now living in Russia.
Fuck, sorry.
A former U.S. defense contractor who assures his followers the U.S. collapse is coming.
My assessment is that if things continue, if the pressure on the white population of the United States continues to intensify, there will be regional resistance movements.
And it's that resistance he wants to exploit.
I'm dumb.
On the tapes, Nazzaro assures recruits nothing they'll be asked to do is against the law.
There's nothing illegal about preparing for some sort of crisis scenario.
Okay, you know he's okay. He's right about that. There's nothing wrong with buying a bunch of fucking soup cans and putting them on shelves in your garage. Okay? In the States, there's nothing wrong with buying a shit ton of guns with a shit ton of ammo. What Hassan might say, that's kind of sus, but in reality, it's not. I mean, a lot of people just like guns. You know, whatever. It's fine. Do what you want. Honestly, I don't care if you're a prepper. I don't care, if, like I said before, dude, if you believe in all this shit and you want to stock up guns, you want to stock up ammo or whatever for the impending, collapse of society, dude, fucking spend tens of thousands of dollars on that kind of shit. I don't care. Okay? Do what you want. When it comes down to like actively going out to looking at trains to mom, then I have an issue with it because what the fuck? That's kind of what the hell.
We're not trying to actively bring down the system ourselves. We're assuming that it's going to fall under its own weight, and we just want to be ready when that happens to take advantage of it.
Take advantage of it.
But to look at
Is that an Italian flag? Wow, that's so like not LARPy. But that's so cringe. Why would you tweet that? That's so like
to finish
sus.
what Hitler started. Illustrated instructions on how to stage a sniper attack. The mask occasionally slips in the chat rooms too. To a member pushing to make the group's recruiting materials more explicit, he says, "We need a public face that's as innocuous as possible, but still attracts the right people."
Nazzaro knew that there was no collapse. He knew that that's impossible. He said it to me himself. That was never the plan. The plan was to cause the collapse, to become the crisis.
All right, we're rolling. Everyone set? One.
Dude, what? Like, look at this. It's so dumb. Like, I'm not entirely intimidated by this, pretty much at all. I mean, it looks super. Like, look at this guy. He doesn't know what the. Sorry, but like, come on. It's so.
2, 3, go.
So that, he says, is what those training
Dude, they got this Civil War line going on.
camps are really about. Preparing for guerrilla war.
As far as survivalism and self-defense, what is your
experience level? You said you're proficient with firearms.
Every recruit is asked about weapons, what they have, and what they can get.
Once I'm 18, I'm gonna try to get a gun.
There's a lot of different places you can go for like sniper training. I'm pretty proficient.
Like out in the woods. You don't need to get okay. When I'm 18, I want to get a gun license in Canada because that's just, I want a gun. I think guns are cool. I don't want to buy a gun. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, the fact that I need to get a license for it, I am a fan of the American system around guns. You have a constitutional right to own a firearm. So you can go out to a gun store, buy a gun. I am 100% for that. I think guns are cool. I think, everybody should own a gun, whatever, for whatever reason. I mean, aside from like going out and doing mass murders, but um I want to get a gun license. I could have already had a gun license in Canada. You can get your possession and acquisition license for non-restricted, non-prohibited firearms as young as 16, which I took the test and I passed it. I just needed to mail it to the federal government, and my dad never did that, which kind of sucks. But when I'm 18, I'm planning on taking the test for the restricted firearms, so I can own I believe it's handguns legally. Just because I want to have it. I think it's a good tool asset to have because I just I want to have it. There doesn't need to be any other reason other than I want to have it. You don't need to have specific training to be good with like decent with guns. At this point, what these guys are asking for, if you're proficient with guns, do you know how to fucking load it and do you know how to pull the trigger? That's pretty much all they need to that's all they need. They don't need to be like, do you know how how to? I mean, sure, some people might need to know how to take apart and fix them or whatever, but all of them don't need to know that shit. They don't need that kind of fucking people. They just need men at this point. But like in sniper training, dude, go into the fucking woods and set up a target. Dude, nobody fucking cares. Dude, do whatever. You don't need formal fucking training.
With firearms, looking to become a combat engineer.
And you're in this fucking bullshit group. I want to be a combat engineer. I also, also white power. Like, dude, come on. Like, now you're never gonna be anything.
Currently in the military.
Cause that fucking, the CIA knows your address now. So you ain't gonna be shit except working at McDonald's while the government's watching in a van across the street.
But I'm in the National Guard.
Those with actual military
See, like, look at these guys. It's hilarious.
Looking to become a combat engineer.
I'm currently in the military, but I'm in the National Guard.
It's like they're hopping around.
Those with actual military experience are particularly prized, including Canadian combat engineer Patrick Matthews.
People like Matthews.
There's probably so few of them
perfect for
actually
this
have
gig.
like military
Specifically
training.
his knowledge of explosives.
There's probably like 3 of them total.
That was considered valuable. So that's why he was given the role of trainer.
Yeah, but he's Canadian.
And he was going to just train people while he was here.
So, back to Patrick Matthews. Within days
Dude, they have
of being honored
reservists.
by the Winnipeg Free Press, the military reservist disappeared.
The man accused of recruiting for a global neo-Nazi terrorist.
I remember this, actually. I just realized this exact picture. I fucking remember this being on the news. I don't remember when it was. I'm pretty sure it said whenever, but dude, I fucking remember this being on the news. I remember seeing this exact picture. And it was kind of crazy. I looked at it, I'm like, oh, cool, crazy. That's wicked. I didn't care. So I was like, whatever. But yeah, I remember.
Group goes missing. Corporal Patrick Matthews had been relieved of his duties. RCMP are investigating him for allegedly recruiting for a far-right hate group called The Base.
Months after his truck was found abandoned at the U.S. border, no one seemed to know where he was. Not even ace reporter Ryan Thorpe.
For the longest time, it's like, okay, well, I'm pretty sure he fled the country and hooked up with members of the base in the United States and is up to, who knows what down there. But I don't really know what's going on. Yeah.
But unbeknownst to Thorpe and unbeknownst to Matthews, someone did know what was going on. The FBI.
See?
In late August 2019, it tracked 2 other base members, William Bilbrough and Brian Lemley, as they drove north towards the Canadian border.
So we were aware of Brian Lemley and William Bilbrough being members of the base in the state of Maryland.
And they became aware
Maryland.
that Patrick Matthews,
what a wacky shaped state,
had crossed illegally into the United States.
That's not very related to this, but yeah.
And they drove
Maryland's
from
shaped
Maryland
funny.
to southwest Michigan, distance about 600 miles, to pick up Patrick Matthews and to bring him back to the East Coast to harbor him.
Yeah, also, dude, like, if you get outed as being in, like, this white supremacist militia and, like, in the media, and the government's looking for you, dude, like, do you not think that, like, CSIS and the FBI and CIA don't, like, chat to one another? You don't think they're like, hey, dude, like, look out for this guy. He's you don't know where he's at, and we think he's probably in the States. You don't think they just talk to one another? Dude, come on.
The FBI won't say what twigged them to the two base members, but by October, agents had tracked them to this farm in the state of Georgia, where they even had an undercover agent in place as base members arrived for one of those training camps. The agent watched as Matthews instructed in tactical maneuvers and helped burn an American flag.
Yikes, I hate burning flags, dude. Burning flags is such a stupid, dumb, frickin' thing to do. Like, of course, you know, it's a tough thing. Just burning American flag, bad idea. Burning Canadian flag, bad idea. I mean, I just don't do it.
According to the FBI, the group talked about eliminating.
Oh, they're burning
enemies,
books too.
plot
Jesus.
To kill two anti-fascist
That's just
activists,
super larper.
And reporter Ryan Flagg. According to the FBI, the group talked about eliminating their enemies, a plot to kill two anti-fascist activists, and reporter Ryan Thorpe seemed high on their hit list as well.
Yikes.
There was one.
What's the goat for?
Week, a neighboring farmer's ram sacrificed in a bizarre ritual.
What the fuck? Dude, they're even more fucked up than regular fucked up people.
The pictures, like everything else, uploaded as propaganda.
Dude.
Like those.
What the hell? What the ram do? And it wasn't even theirs, it was the neighbors.
Guys were on a trajectory that was going to be violent.
Like, you can be, like, being fucked up enough to be a white supremacist is one thing. Being fucked up to be a goat sacrificing ritual having white supremacy, dude,
and
what the fuck?
There was no question about it.
That's beyond, like, helpful.
What were you worried about?
I was worried that they were going to engage in spree killing.
And he wasn't the only one. When Matthews and Lemley left Georgia for Delaware and took up residence in this apartment, the FBI was all over them. Secret court orders allowed for searches and bugging. Surveillance was 24 hours a day.
We collected thousands of hours of tape, of audio tape, video recordings, thousands of hours. Every time that one of the defendants in the apartment were watching and listening, and we're collecting evidence as they talked about what their intentions were and what their plans were.
We killed the fucking government, which is the fucking enemy.
Jesus Christ. That's average. One fuck every
we're collecting evidence
couple words.
As they talked about what their intentions were and what their plans were.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 3. Ratio 3 to 8 divided by 3. It's fucking how fucking much?
As the FBI listened in, the plans and the targets shifted. One day it was like Antifa members.
2.25.
Stop letting them breathe.
Yeah,
Make them disappear. And you don't need to kill them all. By God, we don't have the bullets.
The next, any black person, including children.
I don't care if I've shot a bunch of black kids and something in the back of my head is ringing and it feels bad. I don't care. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to do it.
Jesus!
They talked about ways to cause that collapse. Here's Matthews attempting to disguise himself with a gas mask.
If you want the white race to survive, you're gonna have to do your part. Derail some trains, kill some people, and poison some water supplies. You better be ready to do those things. If not, then you're not gonna be ready for what's coming.
Dude, honestly, okay, this is just like it's the attempt at being intimidating is funny. What he's saying is fucked up, but this just is funny. Like, he's not intimidating. He's wearing the gas mask. Every like couple seconds, he's like, it's like, it. What he's saying is so ridiculous.
It's shocking to listen to him talk about discussing killing African American children, to listening to the words of Adolf Hitler, to discuss wanting to bring down the United States government, where he's not even a citizen of the country.
wanting to contribute to violence in this country. It's shocking. It should shock everyone.
And derailing a train, that's pretty on the nose for someone who's on the run from a whole ass government.
And even more shocking was the equipment the two were accumulating. A sniper rifle, a homemade assault rifle Matthews assembled from parts, night scopes, infrared sensors.
They're in the States. Is that so fucking crazy?
Ammunition rounds by the thousands.
Dude.
And crates of dehydrated food for life on the run.
I'm pretty sure you can just get like all that at like just a normal gun store. I mean, yeah, sure, it's like this is a Canadian documentary. They're like, oh my god, look, guns. But still, like, when they're in the States, they have two guns, one like rifle and one like rifle and a sniper rifle, so to speak, and then a night scope and MREs. It's like, was that crazy for the States? I don't think that's very crazy at all. I think it's isn't that average like 3 guns per household now, or like 3 guns per person in the United States now? So they're like under. That's like 2 guns per 2 people. That's like under the limit,
gun
man.
stores
Somebody
and
get them some
shooting
more
ranges
guns.
as their plans started to crystallize around an upcoming gun rally in nearby Virginia. The prospect for violence was high, and if it did break out, Matthews and Lemley wanted to be there to accelerate what they truly believed would be a civil war.
Accelerationism.
I mean, if this thing goes off, and let's say they start fighting in Virginia.
We shoot at the government. We kill the cops. We blast the Nat Guard. What we do, we can't really live with ourselves if we don't get some like blood on our hands.
Dude, these people are so fucking ready. They're like, oh my god, I want to fucking kill people so bad. Oh my god. And it's like, you can tell it's kind of freaky.
How bad would you feel if there was a battle in Richmond and you weren't even there? Wouldn't you feel like a piece of shit?
We realized like they're just gonna call us terrorists. They're gonna go to jail anyway.
They're gonna call us terrorists. We might be doing terrorism, but they might call us terrorists, guys. We have to accept that fact.
Might as well do some damage to the system.
The Virginia
like, it's one thing to be patriotic for your country. It's one thing to be like, I love the United States of America. You know, it's a good country. I love my country. Yeah. And then there's another thing to be like, I want only white people to exist. I want to kill everybody else. Hoorah. Like, it's one thing, and like the fact is, like, the people who go to these like
they're gonna go to jail anyway.
Whatever rallies or whatever,
do some
like
damage to the system.
Like rallies like this, like just people, regular old people, like literally these old like these little old people, right? They're like, I love my country, I love the American flag, whatever, right? And then there's the other people who are like, I love white people, I hate minorities, kind of thing. And the fact, like, they all get mixed up, and it sucks because some people are good and some people are terrorists, and they're all lumped together.
The Virginia rally was January 20th, and despite massive amounts of weaponry, it went off without anyone firing a shot. Matthews and Lemley.
That's just how America works. They tote their guns around all over the place. Which, you know, is whatever. I mean, people can say what, like, people have said, you know, a whole bunch of stuff. Open carry is dumb. It perpetuates bad ideas or whatever in society. I think open carry is fine. Like, I'm fine with it. Dude, if you want to carry around your Glock or whatever on like your hip, that's fine with me, dude. That's totally fine with me. If you want to carry it like inside of your coat or whatever, you have like one of those like cool detective like holster things or whatever it's called. Dude, that's fine. I don't care. If you don't want to carry a gun at all, that's fine. I don't care. Like, walking around with a rifle like that in the States, dude, I am completely fine with that idea. I'm completely okay with that. Because, you know, if you want to, go for it, man. You know, that's fine. And you know what? If I see a bunch of people around me with guns, dude, if it even happens, dude, if some person just starts popping off, dude, I feel safe knowing that like the 70 other people around me with guns probably don't agree with that person and probably gonna fucking fire back. Like, that's just how the States works, and it's kind of, you know,
They never even made it. 4 days earlier, the FBI raided the Delaware.
And I shouldn't do this, but I also trust most people to have enough competence to, you know, if they have a firearm, I mean, in this, like, in Canada anyways, if they have a firearm, they're competent enough to like to use it, right? Obviously, we don't have open carry, whatever, right? But even if you possess a gun, you're competent enough to use it. In the States, you know what? I believe the same thing. I believe the same thing. I believe people are competent enough not to be fucking stupid idiots. Most people, anyways.
Violent white supremacist group transporting and harboring Patrick Matthews.
He was arrested along with 2 other alleged members of an aggressive neo-Nazi group called the Base.
The news made headlines on both sides of the border, but in
what
Canada,
is that haircut?
It also raised serious questions. How long had Canada's military known a violent neo-Nazi was in its ranks? And why did the RCMP let him go? When we come back.
It would certainly cause an additional investigation in the United States.
It should have caused additional investigation.
It would cause additional investigation in the United States.
It's a gun. Crazy.
Embrace the chaos, and from its ashes, a new world shall rise, beautiful and pure, to victory, white man.
So tough. So inspiring. So dude, he's shouting into like a Samsung phone microphone. It's like cracking because he's screeching so hard. It's so hard not to find it just hilarious. It's like the ideology is scary, but like the way it's so funny.
Saturday, the Jewish Sabbath turned into a scene of horror.
Oh, this is less scary. This is less funny.
Mosque. He would kill 41 people before he left.
Oh my god, what the fuck?
Every cult, no matter how twisted, has its pantheon.
Can I watch this?
Prayers were just wrapping up when someone burst in and opened fire.
In the base, no one was revered more than gunmen who massacred.
What happened here last night is being called an act of mass murder by the mayor of this city.
London, Ontario? I saw London on the police car. So it's either like London, England or London, Ontario.
They referred to folks like Timothy McVeigh, who did the Oklahoma City bombing, or Brenton Tarrant, who did the shooting in New Zealand. They called them the Saints.
I was about to say the
post
New Zealand
these
guy
like hyper stylized portraits. If you could think of like the Obama Hope, the famous kind of blue and red photo, it would be like stuff like that.
Ah, fuck, that hurts my eyes. Stop! Take it off!
The moment when I got really worried was El Paso and Christchurch. And I remember all the memes and all the hero worship of those shooters that came after
Christchurch, oh shit, I've heard of that.
Did you ever hear or see things that made you think that any of those
Fuck,
members
which
were
one was that?
considering the same kind of action?
Was that the one?
looking
Oh,
for-
I don't want to look dumb. Fuck, I'm gonna say. Okay, look, this is really bad. I'm gonna do a guess. Okay, I'm gonna go over here. I'm gonna write my answer, right? Okay, and then now,
or, you know, trying.
Oh, that's just the New Zealand one. Okay, whatever.
Work up
I
the
just
courage to
knew
do
it as the New Zealand one. I
And that,
thought
he
it was
says,
something else.
included base
I was wrong.
member and
There, I
former
was wrong.
Canadian reservist Patrick Matthews.
People like Matthews, I was worried about guys like him. That guy, he almost made it his business to have as little to lose as possible.
When the RCMP detained Matthews following his outing by the Winnipeg Free Press, it knew he was an accelerationist who believed in violence. It told the public
Patrick spelt with a K, no C. What the hell? That's how you know he's
produced
fucked
multiple
up.
weapons.
When you have a name that's
But
spelled
what police
like
have never
they have
said
just a regular
publicly
name,
is
but
that
it's
it also found
smelt
this.
really
A
weird.
handwritten list in Matthews' wastebasket, later filed in court by the FBI. Locations and dates of mass killings, a tally of dead and wounded. Details about the shooters responsible. A
Why would you
veneration
keep that on
or a
you?
guide.
Or just in a possession?
I think a lot of these extremists look to
actual
like-minded people who have taken acts of violence and they hold them up to be a martyr-like figure, and some of them want to emulate them when they're planning their own acts of violence. I think it should be a warning to all of us.
But was it a warning?
The Red
to
Surge.
The RCMP?
Sorry.
If you had, in an investigation, come across that,
I like the Red Surge
knowing
uniforms.
what somebody's ideology
They're really
was,
fancy and nice.
knowing they had weapons and had come across a list like that, would that have set off alarm bells?
Well, obviously it sets off alarm bells. It would certainly cause an additional investigation in the United States.
It should have caused additional investigation.
It would cause additional investigation in the United States.
Do you know whether it did in Canada?
I do not know.
The RCMP refused our request for an interview. In a statement, it admitted there was no additional investigation after it found that list. There was limited opportunity, it said, given Matthews' decision to flee 9 days later.
Fair enough. I mean,
but the RCMP statement also reveals
if he
something
fled 9 months,
else.
like 9 days
Matthews'
later,
list of
there's not tons of opportunity.
mass killers was actually first.
Like you can't just like, it's your government's entirely fault that you didn't investigate further. When you had like 9, like I mean, sure, whatever, but I mean, like 9 days.
Discovered 2 months earlier by Canadian border officials searching his truck as he returned from a trip to the States. So what was done then? The RCMP won't tell us, and nor will Canada's military, whose comments about their former reservist have been contradictory from the start.
He is a Class A soldier, and he last worked in May, and at that point we weren't aware that there were any issues.
That's Matthews' commanding officer the day after the Winnipeg Free Press story. A position.
Look at the medals on that guy. Holy shit. Dude, somebody get me some sunglasses.
Echoed by the man who now heads Canada's military.
So I have to thank the reporter who did bring that to our attention for bringing that information forward.
But 2 days after those statements, the military story changed.
On the current situation with regard to Maskell Matthews, I want you to know that this was a signal.
Didn't this guy get in fucking trouble like really recently? Jonathan Vance? Oops. Nope. Was him? No, it wasn't him.
We did not miss.
Well, it's like
the
typed
Canadian
it like
Forces National
general
Counterintelligence Unit.
There was a whole
had
fucking thing in the
already begun
Canadian
to deal
military.
with
Some fucking person was like assaulting female soldiers.
And by the time that story
it
broke,
was like a high-ranking general guy.
According to the country's then top soldier, Matthews had been on their radar for months.
he underwent his first contact with the chain of command in April. So we didn't miss a signal. I'm happy to say we didn't miss a signal.
So what was that April contact, and what happened as a result? The military also refused to be interviewed, and once again, there are contradictions. Heavily redacted documents obtained by the CBC show military counterintelligence opened a file on Matthews not in April, but on June 6th, closed it the following day.
Fuck, man.
A month later, a second file was opened, and once again, closed.
And from what I read in the ATI,
Dude, it just sounds like they suck at doing their job.
It doesn't seem to have
How
any
surprising.
follow-up at all, except it's a bleep on the radar, it disappeared, case over.
We asked Michelle
pretty much, it seems what it was like.
and former longtime military member himself, to review the documents we got.
Because of his training, because of his experience, and because of his rank, he had access to explosive, certainly knowledge of such, and weaponries and the like, and and there should be a warning that we need to, at the very least, to make a few calls and to send somebody.
This is just more talking about it with people who knew it or whatever the fuck. So yeah, whatever. Yeah, that's that. That was that whole thing. That was fun. That was cool.